Hey, don't try what you're about to see at home. We're what you call experts.
That's right. We do this for a living.
On this episode of Mythbusters, Adam and Jamie are all smiles as they tackle a myth that's massive.
That's just about the funniest thing I've ever seen.
They're getting ready to unleash the biggest boom in Mythbusters history.
Now he's off the ground.
Did a World War II airman survive a fall from 20,000 feet because an explosion on the ground cushioned his landing?
Jamie wants big boom.
Then Cary, Grant, and Tori turn the spotlight on the lights on or off myth as they find out how to leave you with a lighter electricity bill.
A little sugar in the coffee this morning?
Who are the Mythbusters? Adam Savage.
Ants are all over my head, man.
And Jamie Heineman.
Gets me all worked up just looking at it.
Between them, more than 30 years special effects experience.
That was heavy.
Joining them, Grant Imahara.
Go get him, boy.
Tori Belleci.
Somebody order some exploding pants.
And Carrie Byron.
Oh, God.
They don't just tell the myths. They put them to the test. When it comes to explosions, the Mythbusters are king. They've turned toilets torpedo. Tried a spot of painting and detonating. And of course they blew a cement truck to Kingdom Come. But that's all in the past, because now Adam and Jamie are about to plan the biggest explosion in Mythbusters history. There's nothing like starting with a bang.
Well, Calaveras County says it's okay. The quarry says it's okay. The police department and the bomb squad says it's okay. Can we blow this thing up?
No, we have to tell a whole story first, like always. And this one begins with a fan who wrote us about a story they read on a calendar hanging in their house. A World War II gunner fell from a plane without a parachute, fell 22,000 feet into the glass roof of a French train station at the very moment a bomb went off in that train station, cushioning his fall and allowed him to survive.
It's a tall tale from World War II. Cruising at 22,000 feet, an unfortunate airman fell out of the gun turret of his plane. Without a parachute, the prospect of a soft landing looked awfully hard. But as he neared the ground, a 1,000-pound bomb blew up in a train station beneath him and sent out a shockwave that actually cushioned his fall. It's an explosive story that for Adam and Jamie begins with a trip to an aviation museum.
Now, we've got a myth that involves one of these planes. It involves a turret gunner who got shot out of the plane at 22,000 feet without a chute and survived because he hit the roof of a train station at the very moment a bomb was going off in that train station, and the shockwave of the bomb cushioned his fall and allowed him to live. Have you heard that?
I have heard instances, or one instance, where a gunner fell into a snowbank, which was about, I think, 19 or 20,000 feet, and came out of it with a broken limb. But I have not heard this story.
Although Joe hasn't heard of our myth, there's one part of it that's definitely true. B-17 ball gunners did not wear parachutes, and the reason is obvious.
You can see how confining that is.
So that's why they don't wear parachutes.
Exactly.
Dude, that is messed up.
Right. And hanging under this aircraft at several thousand feet.
You're at target practice.
Basically.
Oh, my God.
Oh my God, indeed. Without a parachute, the airman in the myth sure would have plummeted. But could a 1,000-pound explosion in a French train station really have saved him? It's time to get a Mythbuster. But back at the shop, Adam's already having doubts.
I am starting to get worried about this one. 22,000-foot fall is shaping up to be like the biggest myth we have ever done.
Yeah, we really, really need to be prepared for this.
So we need your guys' help. We want to focus on the large-scale experiment, and we want you guys to do the bench tests for us, the small-scale experiments.
Aye, aye, Captain. What you need?
Well, I want you to start with car airbags. It seems to me the best potential analog test bed. They're easy to get, easy to set off, and they might really be able to demonstrate that an explosion can cause deceleration in something heading towards it.
It's going to be fun.
So to blast off with this myth, Carrie and Tori are going to find out if a falling lead weight can be slowed down by an explosive charge from a car airbag.
I've set up a drop rig. Basically, it's just a quick release and a pull string. And here I have a lead weight with my G-Shock stickers on it that go up to 100 Gs. And I'm going to do a quick test just to see how violent a fall this is going to be. 3, 2, 1. Let's see what we got.
So it looks like it broke 2 of them.
Only 2?
Yeah.
Wow. So it's between 75 and 100 Gs.
So without the bang, both the 50 and 75 G watches triggered. That means that now the question is, will an airbag explosive decelerate the ball so much that these shock stickers stay intact?
So now that I've got my ball all redressed with new shock watch stickers, the next step is to drop the lead weight directly onto just the pyrotechnic, no enclosure. We want to see what kind of deceleration you can get from just the blast.
To find out, Tori first removes the airbag bag from the pyrotechnic charge.
Hey, there's a penny in here.
What?
I guess they put that in there for good luck.
And once that's done, our dynamic duo put it inside a miniature house to represent the train station of the myth.
How are we going to time this?
I'm just going to watch the ball fall, and at the point where I think I should ignite the airbag, that's when I'm going to do it. I mean, for this to even remotely work, it's all about the timing, so that's why I'm doing it by eye. It's very crucial that I do it by eye.
With a plan as concrete as that, what could possibly go wrong?
Ready?
In 3, 2...
What the heck is that?
And now it's too sensitive.
You went 3 in the bowl.
No, it
Saboteur.
It seems like Carrie has dropped the ball. Let's try that again.
In 3, 2, 1.
There was a delayed reaction there.
But this time, it was Tori who balls things up.
In 3, 2, 1.
Take 3 doesn't go much better.
In 3, 2, 1. Oh, it might be a dud, huh?
And after the 4th dropout, it's looking like the team need a plan B. Later, the biggest ever bomb on Mythbusters goes boom.
Jamie wants big boom.
But next, Carrie and Tori get some smashing results.
I was going to fall on a glass roof. I would not want a bomb going off underneath.
In 22,000-foot fall, the Mythbusters are testing whether a turret gunner who plummeted from his plane without a parachute was really saved by a massive explosion on the ground that cushioned his fall. To put this to the test, Carrie and Tori have been trying to see if a small explosive can decelerate a falling lead ball. But it's not exactly gone to plan. And in the meantime, Adam and Jamie need to get on with the big-scale plans.
Well, the small-scale experiment is underway. Next, we have to tackle the big scale.
Yeah, we've got a lot ahead of us. We've got to do the train station, the bomb. We've got to replicate our airman and his 22,000-foot fall.
Where do you want to start?
There's such a shopping list for this myth that the boys don't know where to begin. They need a plane to bail out of, an airman to plummet without a parachute, a train station for him to fall into, and a huge bomb to blow up. Let's start with the station.
Our airman fell into a French train station with a glass roof. And those aren't that common in California, so we have to build our own. The goal is to use a bunch of steel and 2-foot by 2-foot panes of glass. And I've designed something that's got some arches. It feels kind of like the right thing.
And with welding skills like this, it's not long before the station frame begins to look très magnifique.
Those things seem about right, so I think we're good to lock it down.
Which gives Adam an excuse to move on to myth shopping list number 2, the bomb.
The original bomb that the myth involves is a 1,000-pound bomb whose casing weighs on the order of several hundred pounds. That's just the casing alone without the explosives. So we wanted a metal casing that was as heavy as possible, and this actually fits the bill perfectly for us. This started out as the sharammer for the shark special. Then morphed into the XMB for exploding hair cream.
Dude, that was a hell of a result. That was. Wow.
Became the steam cannon. And now its final task will be as a bomb casing for us for 22,000-foot fall.
With the casing and the train station running on time, now the boys just need a B-17 bomber and an airman. But that's not going to be so easy.
So, in terms of dropping our airmen, we can't drop them from 22,000 feet because, well, number one, we can't get any aircraft to fly over an explosion no matter how high they are, and we can't aim from that height and make them hit such a tiny target.
Well, why don't we use balloons? I mean, we've lifted you with a balloon before.
Perfect. I'll tell you what, all we need is to get him up to 120 miles an hour. That's a human's terminal velocity. We know that from umpteen myths we've done about people falling. So I'll figure out exactly how high he has to fall from in order to reach 120 miles per hour. And we'll just fly the balloons that high.
The key to this myth is terminal velocity, the maximum speed at which an object can fall. It's reached when gravity is matched by the force of wind resistance, which for humans works out at around 120 miles an hour. So all Adam has to do is work out the minimum drop height required to reach that magic number.
Basically, he's got to fall for 5.5 seconds to reach 120 miles per hour. And that puts him at 487 feet in the air. That's totally doable.
Yeah, all things considered, it's the cheapest, it's the most practical way to go, and I can't see anything better.
Yeah.
So let's do it.
All right.
So that's the plan. Instead of a B-17 bomber at 22,000 feet, they'll drop Buster from some weather balloons at 500 feet. Just enough for him to reach terminal velocity as he lands in the exploding train station. So with the balloons checked off, Adam and Jamie have almost all they need to put this myth to the test. The only thing missing is the results from Tori and Carrie's small-scale experiment. And back at M7, it seems that everything is finally ready to see if a small explosion can decelerate a falling lead ball. And Tori's about to add the finishing touch.
What I have here is a piece of 16th-inch glass, and since the myth talks about the man falling through a glass roof, we thought, why don't we use a piece of glass? So what we're going to do is we're going to lay this on top of the explosion, drop the ball into this, and see if, this breaks the fall.
With the glass roof in place, it's the perfect small-scale representation of the myth. But will the ball, playing the role of the airman, slow down at all?
If I can time it right, hopefully, when the ball just touches the glass, I'll set off the airbag and break the fall of the ball. Well, okay, considering we're going to be blowing up a sheet of glass, it's probably a good idea if we give ourselves a little bit of protection.
In 3, 2, 1. Some destruction. Did the bomb go off?
Yeah, that was a good one.
At last, the airbag explosive detonated, and with perfect timing. Mere moments before the ball touches the glass, the explosion was triggered, spraying glass shards far and wide.
Next, what we're going to do, we're going to drop the ball again into the glass, no explosion this time, and just see how that decelerates the ball.
In 3, 2, 1. Oh, looks like the sticker stayed.
There's more glass shards than an accident at a chandelier factory. But what happened to the ball's speed? Well, side by side, it's clear that the explosion did very little. The balls fall virtually the same in each test, and that's got Carrie ready to make some early conclusions.
We're at a point with the large-scale build that we could use the information that you've gotten from your small-scale testing. What do you got?
You know, it's still a little dubious, because you got to think about the fact that the shock wave, it's going at you at 25,000 feet per second. You're falling at 176 feet per second, and when you hit, you know, it's not exactly an equal and opposite reaction, so what do you think? Also, you got to consider that there's glass shrapnel flying everywhere.
You know, look, I think these guys did a great job. We know that the devil is always in the details and the scaling. I'm starting to believe from the research we got that this guy did survive. It's a true story. We just don't know how, and there may be something that we're missing in the small-scale experiments that'll pick up when we do this full size. We have to continue doing this full size.
Sure.
I wish you all the luck in the world with this one.
Still to come, the train station leaves its platform.
It's pretty, but it's going to go away pretty soon.
But next, a bright idea to save money.
I think Carrie is showing some interest in that.
Carrie, Tori, and Grant are about to test a household myth with the flick of a switch. Do you really save on energy and your electricity bill if you leave your lights on permanently, rather than turn them on and off throughout the day?
Now, this is a myth that can divide a household. Let's take our little family, for instance. Has anybody noticed that Jamie follows you around the shop, flipping off lights after you leave just to save energy? It's really, really annoying. So the idea here, I guess, is will you save on energy and bills if you leave the lights continually on rather than flipping them off every time you leave the room?
Yeah, actually, some people believe that the startup energy usage is so high, it's better to leave the lights on all the time.
Finally, everything was ready for the turning of the main switch on the control board.
Ever since the invention of the first electric light bulb in the 1800s, people have continually proposed that to save money, you should actually leave your lights on, even if you don't need them. Decades down the line, and it's time for the Mythbusters to find the truth.
All right, so how are we going to test this one?
I think we should measure the amount of energy consumed when you turn the light on, start up, and compare that to the amount of energy consumed over a period of time. Say, call that steady state.
Yeah, that's cool. That way we can figure out if Jamie's actually saving any money flipping on and off the lights.
Yeah.
So the team will finally shed some light on a myth that's been around since the end of the Dark Age. But first, they need to do some shopping, which will highlight another question. How many Mythbusters does it take to buy a light bulb?
My name's Mark.
Carrie.
Hi, Carrie.
Grant?
Hi, Grant.
How you doing, Tori?
Hi, Tori.
Okay, Mark, so the myth is it better to leave your lights on or turn them off in order to save energy, increase the lifespan of your light bulbs, that sort of thing?
The optimum energy efficiency is simply turning your lights off.
Well, you heard it from the professional, myth busted. I think we're done. This is the shortest myth ever, right?
Hey, thanks, Mark.
Yeah, this is
Mark may think this myth is all hot air, but the team hasn't come this far to give up without a fight. Heavily laden with a selection of the most common household light bulbs, it's back to base to turn the spotlight on this myth.
Well, first up, we're going to wire up a set of lights of several different varieties and measure their power consumption. And we're interested in 3 periods. First, power consumption during startup. Second, during maintenance, while it's sort of on. And then finally, during shutdown.
That's the plan.
Hot wire is 120 volts above ground. The hot wire is the one that'll kill you, so don't touch the hot wire.
These will explode, these will melt, this will kill you. This is great.
You had no
Great.
idea how dangerous my world was.
With Carrie wired about the danger, she helps carefully rig up all the lights the team bought earlier, including Grant's favorite.
That is wacky.
If anything was going to rekindle his interest in electronics, it's this.
Little sugar in the coffee this morning?
Yeah, just love electronics.
In 22,000-foot fall, Adam and Jamie are having a blast. Can the shockwave from a massive bomb cushion the fall of a plummeting person? To detonate an answer, they've come to a quarry in Southern California. But it's only just dawned on them that there's an awful lot to do.
Well, we've got to build our train station out here, pretty much right where I'm standing. Then we've got to lay out all the rigging hardware and launch hardware for the helium balloon and the drop rig. Then we've got to meet with our bomb techs and pretty much, hopefully, if everything gets done correctly, fill the balloons with helium, get the dummy up in the air, get in place, and blow this thing to smithereens.
Blow this thing to smithereens, and how? In the original myth, an airman fell 22,000 feet into an exploding train station and survived. But to test this, the Mythbusters have made some alterations. They're replacing the plane with some helium balloons, the airman with Buster, and the 22,000 feet with 500. Buster will fall down a guide wire into the train station just as a 1,000-pound bomb goes ballistic.
The only bad thing about this is it actually is quite nice. It's, we got the little kind of radiating spines, and it's pretty, but it's going to go away pretty soon.
While Jamie's feeling sad about the train station's imminent demise, Buster is feeling overjoyed because he's had a last-minute reprieve.
So, Buster is not our test dummy on this one. The Carrie, Tori, and Grant actually have made one out of ballistic material, and his name is Ted, as in Bust Ted.
Or as in Exploit Ted, Detonate Ted, and Annihilate Ted. And to help Ted assume the role of turret gunner, he's been squeezed into a tiny box.
What happened to his head?
Well, it got broken up because they put him in...
Because he's too tall for the box.
He's too tall for the box.
We'll see whether he starts to sag in the noonday heat.
With the temperature already a mind-melting 115 degrees, sagging in the noonday heat is about all that Adam and Jamie can do, too.
Well, look, everything's pretty much done. The train station's done, the bomb is laid, the guy wire positions are staked out.
You're sounding pretty tired. Are you all right?
I'm exhausted, man. It's like 115 degrees out here. I'd like to go and come back like an hour before dawn tomorrow to set this thing up.
Sure.
Yeah?
Fresh pot of coffee. This thing won't be so hot that it's going to go off when we load the explosives in it.
Exactly. All right, let's get out of here.
All right.
Coming up, it's off to see a light that's been on for over a century.
Is that the light right there?
That is our light. Cool.
And later, a shock from the explosion of a 1,000-pound bomb.
Here comes the shockwave. Anything that you're about to see us do at home, ever.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori are turning the spotlight on a myth that's divided households for decades. To save money, is it really better to leave your lights on and never turn them off? The theory is that the energy required on startup is so great that it's better to turn your lights on once and then leave them on forever. To find out if this is true, the team has made a circuit that contains the most common household light bulbs. And now it's time to get some data.
So in order to measure how much power each of these lamps is consuming, we have this, which is called a kilowatt. And basically it's available at any hardware store. And what you do is plug in your appliance, or in our case a lamp, into this, and it will measure over a time period how much electricity you're using.
So, using Grant's kilowatt, the first step in this myth is to work out how much energy each of the bulbs uses when left on for an hour.
Oh, yeah.
And to help the team remember that time's up, Grant's even rigged an alarm.
60 minutes on the clock. This is going to count up to that. As soon as that happens, bell's going to ring, and we'll know to come running, take down the measurement, and reset it for the next one.
And first up is one of the most common lights of all, the compact fluorescent bulb. And an hour later, well, the alarm works, but how did the bulb do?
0.1 kilowatt hour. Yeah, you can. This one's 0.1 kilowatt hour. Sorry, 0.01 kilowatt hour.
Okay.
So in terms of data, it's one bulb down, 5 to go.
Okay, so next one, halogen light. Here we go. 60 minutes.
Go! Okay. See you guys in an hour.
All right.
The next 5 tests pass by at light speed as the team puts incandescent bulbs, fluorescent tubes, LEDs, halogens, and metal halides to the test. And after an enlightening afternoon, they have all the data they could ever need.
So, great.
Over the course of an hour, all 6 bulbs were surprisingly efficient. So if the startup energy surge is as high as the myth says, then it may well be better to leave your lights on permanently. But before testing that, Grant has a burning childhood ambition that he wants to fulfill. And he's very excited.
Here at the Livermore Fire Department, they have a light bulb that's been burning for 105 years. I really want to see this.
Oh, you could be really excited about seeing a light bulb.
It is. I can't even get a light bulb to burn for 105 days.
Hey, guys.
Hey, guys.
Hey, good morning. How are you?
Good. I'm Grant.
Hi, Grant. I'm Chief Jeff Solfarelli. Welcome to the LPFD.
Hi, nice to meet you.
Carrie, how do you do?
We hear you have a light bulb that's been burning for 105 years.
Is that the light right there?
That is our light. There she hangs as she is.
Ah, cool.
The
Okay.
light has a webcam and it has a
The
gas
light
book.
has a webcam.
So
Yes, it does.
That's how you know that it never goes off. It's got its own dedicated camera.
And that's how she's been for about the last 105, 106 years.
Cool.
It's amazing.
106 years, and it's still bright as a button. And Grant has spotted why.
Look how big the filament is. I mean, even from down here, I can see how massive it is.
This is what they call a carbon filament. And the newer ones we have are the more exotic metals. Some of them are titanium. So it's much thinner, and it puts out a lot more light, burns a lot hotter. This doesn't burn as hot.
With memories to savor for a lifetime, Grant and Carrie head back to the shop to take this myth to its nail-biting conclusion that could leave you with a lighter electricity bill. Still to come, a 1,000-pound bomb reaches for the skies.
This much explosives won't just blow a hole right through the cloud cover.
But next, will lights on or off reveal some enlightening results?
Faster than you can blink your eye.
Wow.
Adam and Jamie have built a replica train station and bomb casing as they prepare to take the plunge on the myth of the 22,000-foot fall. Supposedly, a World War II airman fell from his plane but was miraculously saved when an explosion on the ground cushioned his fall. To put this to the test, the Mythbusters have replaced the plane with some helium balloons and the airman with ballistics gel Ted. And the bomb countdown is not far away. And if the pressure in the balloons isn't enough to keep Adam and Jamie on their toes, retired FBI agent Frank Doyle has arrived with some news to make the atmosphere even more tense.
Hey, good morning, guys.
Morning. Hey, Frank.
Hey, Frank.
How's it going, Phil?
If you have any influence with the weatherman, now's a good time to make the telephone call because see all of our clouds and overcast up there? That's not good for explosions because that cloud cover will keep our pressures and our noise down so that everything will bounce up, come back down, and go out. And I hope there's no neighborhood windows nearby.
This much explosives won't just blow a hole right through the cloud cover. It doesn't work that way.
You've been watching too much television.
While TV addict Jamie waits on the weather, Frank and colleague Phil get on with loading up alarmingly large amounts of explosives.
1,000-pound GP bomb has a little bit over 500 pounds of HE in it, high explosive, and the rest is the metal of the steel case. So that's what we have gone to great lengths to duplicate here in creating an authentic situation for our myth. 500
pounds of high explosives should ensure authenticity. But how will this train station detonation compare to previous Mythbusters mayhem?
Of course, we've done a very large 3,500-pound safe.
Wow! That worked beautifully!
Now, with the cement truck, we used a different kind of explosive. It had a slower detonating velocity as compared to this explosive. This explosive is about 3 times faster.
If the train station torpedo is faster than this, then what can we expect?
I think this is going to be the biggest one.
So, stand by for the biggest explosion in Mythbusters history. And with the balloons all inflated, it's time for Airman Ted to rise to the occasion.
Ted, you ready? 500-foot drop, and history is yours.
To get things airborne, the boys have rigged a clever pulley system that should allow them to precisely control the ascent of the balloons and Airman Ted. At least, that's the theory.
Everybody on the winches! You're about to start to get a little tension.
3, 2, 1.
Ho! Heads up!
Houston, we have a problem.
I lost it.
The cord tethering Ted suddenly snapped, which means the balloons are up, but our airman is still grounded.
Watch out for the cable.
That one's gone.
And then things take a turn for the worse when some of the balloons start to burst. And as Adam's about to learn, that is very bad news indeed.
Are you guys totally slack?
Yeah.
That's it. We're officially screwed. We lost our buoyancy.
With 3 balloons down, there's just not enough helium to get Ted up. And what's more, the fire team says it's now too hot to safely detonate the bomb. So for today, the show's over. Understandably, the boys are feeling a little deflated.
Murphy is in full force here today. And now it's too late because not only did we have some setbacks, but those setbacks pushed us past the window that we had to set this thing off.
Ted's not holding up very well either. That's another whole can of worms. So I think we're going to have to come up with a dynamic solution in the next 15 minutes so that he doesn't just turn into a puddle with grass embedded in it by tomorrow morning.
Cary, Grant, and Tori are testing a myth that came to light with the genesis of the common light bulb. Do you save on energy and money by leaving your lights on to avoid the power surge that flicking the switch generates? To answer this important question once and for all, the team are halfway through their experiment. They found out how much energy 6 types of light bulb use when they're on. And now they need to see how this compares to the energy surge that happens on startup. And for this test, Grant unveils gadget number 2.
This is an inductive current loop. And what you do is pass your wire through here, and as the current flows through here, it actually induces a voltage. This line is going to go to a computer-based digital sampling oscilloscope. So in that millisecond range, that really quick turn on, I'll be able to capture that and measure exactly how much current is going through that wire.
With Grant's electrical mastermind firing on all cylinders, Carrie once again turns apprentice.
Soon you'll be able to do this blindfolded. Open your mind to your feelings. Feel the wire.
I have no idea what that's from.
No.
When the test finally gets underway, it doesn't take long for a pattern to start to emerge.
So the interesting thing, after a couple different trials, we've caught there's always a big spike on startup as the filament warms up, which is to be expected, but it's not very long, and actually it gets to steady state very quickly. But I think we're probably going to have to hold our judgment till we see some of the other ones.
So it's coming to light that the energy surge used on startup is not very big at all. And that means that only a few calculations stand between Grant and a bright conclusion of the lights on or off myth.
So, crunch the numbers, and here's what I got for the incandescent. Total power used during startup is 21,522 watt seconds. Total power for 1 second is 59,519 watt seconds. And that makes our break-even time 0.36 seconds.
Okay, so from that, I guess that means I'm leaving the room to go make a cup of coffee. It's only worth it for me, economically, to keep the light on if I come back in a third of a second.
Yeah, that's pretty quick. That'd be a really quick brew coffee.
Okay, so in this instance, I am turning the lights off when I leave the room.
Yes.
A quick brew indeed. For the incandescent bulb, the startup surge is so small that you will always save money if you turn it off when it's not needed.
Stand by for the next.
Grant keeps plugging away and soon has the results for the other 5 bulbs. And they all conform to this pattern.
Okay, I got the compact fluorescent figures. 0.015 seconds. Faster than you can blink your eye. Halogen, 0.51 seconds.
Okay, fluorescent tube.
23.3 seconds.
So the common fluorescent tube draws more energy on startup than any of the other bulbs. But it's still only equivalent to 23 seconds of continuous use.
As far as a residential situation goes, that is the most likely one for you to have. Still, 23 seconds? I don't think so.
Coming right up, the Mythbusters count down to the biggest explosion ever.
We'd like to cast a little more light on the subject. After much research, we've been unable to find another man like our hero, who is the chef's delight. He won't blow a fuse no matter what you set before him.
Carrie, Grant, and Tori are trying to digest that the cost of switching on a fluorescent tube is equivalent to just 23 seconds of continuous light. At a meager 0.36 of a second for a common incandescent bulb.
Modern replica.
Which means it's looking like it's always best to turn your lights off when you don't need them.
So far, this myth is looking really easily busted to me. I mean, I don't think that there's any way you're going to save money by leaving the lights on all the time.
I mean, unless you have a room filled with fluorescents and you only plan on being out of the room for 30 seconds.
Yeah, but I think that's only half the story. I think our fans are probably wondering, as I am, how this affects the longevity of the bulbs.
So you want to test to see if the number of times you turn the light bulb on and off has an effect on the lifetime of the bulb.
In a final test, specimen bulbs are lighted and allowed to burn out.
So the final test before reaching a bright conclusion is to see whether the money you save turning your lights on and off more regularly means that you spend your savings replacing your bulbs more often.
Well, it's not just energy consumption that figures into whether it's better to leave the lights on or turn them off. It's also longevity of the lamps. So what I've set up is a little timer plus a relay. What I'm going to do is take this group of lamps and turn them all on and off at some predetermined time interval.
So why don't we just put this on a 2-minute cycle?
So that's the plan. Grant's rigged the lights up to a timer, and they're going to turn them on and off every 2 minutes to see how long before the bulbs break. And 6 weeks later, the results are in.
Okay, so we've been running our longevity test with the 2-minute on-off cycle for over a month now, and the only bulb that is not burnt out is the LED.
So how does this test compare to, say, the average stress and usage that you put on a light bulb in a normal household?
Right, because, I mean, these lights have been turned on and off over 10,000 times in a month.
Yeah, actually, that corresponds to over 5 years' worth of stress turning it on and off in a regular household.
And given that when you turn on an incandescent light bulb, it uses the same amount of power as 0.36 seconds of continuous use and doesn't really take that much wear and tear, Jamie might be right. You're supposed to flip off the lights when you leave the room.
Yeah, I have a feeling this one's busted.
Yeah, I think it's definitely busted.
Jamie's always right.
We get a lot of fan mail saying that we have the best job in the world, and I won't disagree with that. But there are also days, like this morning, when it is the hardest job I have ever done, by far.
And that's because so far with this myth, they've had setback after setback. Severed lines, burst balloons, and grounded dummies. What could have gone wrong has.
That's it. We're officially screwed. This is like the myth of Job is what's happening here. But I've got 7 balloons. I think each of them are at least 20 to 25 pounds. It gives me 150 some odd pounds. I think it's enough to lift our airman. The bomb squad is coming back up here, and then we just cross our fingers. Now he's off the ground. Now he's off the ground!
He climbs 500 feet. He may be slightly off target, but the guide wire will ensure that he falls right into the station, which means it's time to retreat to safety.
Well, our guy is airborne. The balloons are up. Cable's good. Once they push that detonator, our airmen will drop for approximately 6 seconds in a blasting cap, and then a second blasting cap will detonate the bomb onto the train station, hopefully at the very femtosecond that our airman is touching the roof.
With the boys a safe distance away, it's finally here's what's going to happen. Airman Ted is suspended so that he's 500 feet off the ground. He's connected to the train station via a guide wire. On Adam's cue, the balloons will be cut and Ted will fall. 6 seconds later, the 1,000-pound bomb will boom. Will Ted survive?
Everybody, say it with me. Jamie wants big boom.
5. He's falling. He's falling. He's going towards it. He's going towards it. No! Wow, here comes the shockwave.
The booms created a mushroom cloud of frightening proportions, and it's also set the surrounding hills on fire.
Oh, look at that!
Fortunately, the county fire department are quick to respond.
And there's and they dumped.
This day's just getting better and better.
Come to ground zero, it's awesome.
Explosion like that. Frank's my new best friend, too. On the high speed, you can clearly see the cushioning shockwave before the area gets blown to smithereens. But what happened to Ted? Well, unfortunately, there was a malfunction in the guide wire, which meant that he fell way off target. But the charge caused so much carnage that Jamie and Adam should still be able to drive.
And this whole blast site that tells you what the real deal is with this kind of explosion and being close to it, it's right over here. Check it out.
Whoa!
It totally wrapped around it. What this piece of steel would have done to you if it hit you instead of this tree, I mean, it's like a necktie. We're not going to get that off of there.
No, we're going to cut it here and display it proudly on your shelf.
There's so much shrapnel that if Ted had fallen into the station, our gunner would have been a goner.
Here's the body. There's the steel. There's more steel way over there and a lot further, so...
There's no way. There's just no way. The idea is that the pressure of this one human body somehow equalized the pressure of the bomb going off. That's just not going to happen.
So, in the middle of a crater, in the middle of a quarry, in the middle of nowhere, it's time to wrap this one up.
So what are we going to call this one? I mean, look, factually, we know that in World War II there was an airman who fell 22,000 feet from his bomber and survived without a parachute. That is historically accurate.
Yeah, but the idea that a bomb going off would provide such an upwelling of air that it would decelerate him and gently lower him to the ground is bunk. It's just not. I don't think it's possible.
What do you think, Peg?
Give me a break. It didn't happen.
So busted.
Busted.
Busted. Let's get out of here.
All right.
The Super Puzzles.